Hi, I'd like to introduce you to some little friends of mine called bundi, which means owl in Swahili. These little owls have got a great story to tell, so let's go and find out where they're from and who makes them. So here we are in Iringa in the southern highlands of Tanzania, bundi's natural homeland. We're here to see a project called Neema Craft Centre, which I started in 2003 whilst working as a CMS mission partner with the Diocese of Ruaha. Right now we're about 6 kilometres outside the town itself, and we're not far from the home of Lukelo, who's one of the many people with disabilities who works at the centre. Let's follow him now on his daily journey to work.
Hi, asante mama, mimi nakwenda. Hi.
It's early morning and Lukelo sets off for work on his handbike. Lukelo had polio as a child, which left him unable to use his legs, but undaunted he sets off on his long journey to work on a handbike, bus and on his hands and knees. Every day, with courage and with great dignity, he battles the huge stigma attached to having a disability in Tanzania. Unbelievably, people will assume that he's done something wrong or that his parents have, and that he's been cursed. But of course this isn't true. That's why we call the centre Neema Crafts. Neema means grace in Swahili. We wanted to say loud and clear that people with disabilities have received God's grace to the same extent as everyone else, and along with that, gifts and talents and abilities. They just need the opportunity to show it. In Tanzania, people like Lukelo are thought to have no potential and are considered a burden. Left on the margins of their society, they find themselves either abandoned to beg on the street or hidden away in the dark at home by families who are ashamed of them. Consequently, they're amongst the poorest of the poor in Tanzania and right across the developing world. But it doesn't have to be this way, and for Lukelo and his colleagues, it isn't. Neema Craft Centre is transforming the lives of people with disabilities in Iringa, giving skills, hope and self-respect through handicrafts training and employment opportunities, allowing people like Lukelo to support themselves and their families with pride and dignity. So we followed Lukelo on his long journey to work and we finally arrived here at Neema Craft Centre. Let's go inside and meet some of the people who work here. So, Neema Craft started in 2003 with just 3 young deaf men in one small room of a rented workshop space not far from here, learning how to make handmade paper from elephant dung and other locally available raw materials. Today, as you can see, the centre is housed in a purpose-built building and we're employing over 100 people with a wide range of disabilities. Ben and Katie Ray are the new directors of the centre and I'm going to hand over to them to show us around the workshops. Hi Ben, how are you doing?
Hi Susie, good thanks.
Can you tell us what's going on here?
Yeah, sure. Well, we're in the paper making department and this is the paper pulping machine. And this basically mashes up all of the materials that we throw into it to make the paper. So at the moment it's making maize leaf paper, so we've thrown in some maize leaves, but sometimes we even use elephant dung, and that's from the local Ruaha National Park. So if I take you over here, so here we have Josfat, and Josfat is transforming that pulp into paper. And the way he does that is he puts it into this tub and then draws out the pulp onto a silk screen and then transfers that silk screen onto the aluminium sheet. Now he's already put a release agent, also known as soap, onto the aluminium sheet to make sure that paper actually comes off once it's dried. So once we've got 4 sheets on that sheet, we then leave it to dry in our drying racks here. And once it's dried, we can then release it. And it actually produces this wonderfully beautiful paper with maize leaf, which we then cover our books and make lots of things from. You can also see the elephant dung paper. We do really make it. So in this department, we're actually doing screen printing, and this is Patrick. He's our screen printing fundi or expert. As you can see, he's laying dye onto the screen, and he's pulling that dye over the screen and transferring it onto some of the paper that we saw being made earlier. That paper is then cut up and used to make products like this. We've also used the screen printing process to make cushions, as well as screen printing our t-shirts, and also this is an order for Dar es Salaam, where there is actually a beach. So this is Bibi Lulu in one of our bathing areas. Shikamoma.
Marhaba baba.
Habari za kazi?
Nzuri.
Unaendeleaje?
Naendelea vizuri za kwako baba.
Nzuri sana.
Asante. Jambo ketu.
Nzuri.
Asante.
Okay, so she is using, right now, she's using some of our handmade paper beads, which we just use old paper for, and we then dye them, and then we bring them over to the beading area, and Bibi Lulu then strings them into beautiful necklaces like this. She also uses some of our recycled glass bottle beads, which are made in the B2B, bottles to beads area, and you can see this is an example of one of those necklaces. So now we're in the tailoring department, and this department has grown recently because of the number of orders that we've had for our fashion wear and our interior products. And you can see that we have over 20 people in this department. This is James. And you can see that James is working on the owls. He's actually embellishing the owls and making sure that they've got eyes.
Asante sana James.
So Lucello has just received some owls from James, which he's then going to take through the next stage. He's actually just stitching around the side of the owls, and as you can see, he's using a hand-wound sewing machine, and because of the nature of his disability. But we also have treadle machines, and these machines, these lovely old singers, have come all the way from the UK by people that have generously donated them to Neema. So this is our weaving area where we make our scarves and fabric for bags. The actual cotton growing starts right here in Tanzania, and we order our cotton from a long way away in Tabora. The cotton then arrives in this form, and we then make it into what's called hanks using the machine over here. When the hanks have been made, Shukuru then takes the hanks and dyes them up into the various colours that fit our colour palette. And so here are two of the examples. When the cotton's then been dyed, it then is warped up, put onto the looms, and then the process of weaving can actually start. So we're now in the carpentry area, and this is our newest department to Neema. As you can see, we've got a great deal of equipment and machinery, thanks to donors from the UK. And there's really not very much that we can't make in this area. You've just been seeing Festus and Wesley making up these rings. And these rings go into making up lampshades. And the lampshades we really can't make fast enough. We also have lathes, which we turn wood on and we make lamp bases from. We have fabric letters, which we cut out the wood for here, and then we cover in vibrant African fabrics. We also do our own carving, and this is in a traditional Zanzibari style. So here we are in the Neema Craft shop, which sells all of the things that you've been seeing produced in our workshops out the back. Now, at Neema Crafts, we also have outworkers who produce items from home. And I'm just going to pass you over now to Susie, who's interviewing Hezron, who's one of our outworkers that produces woven scarves.
Ungeweza kutuelewesha kidogo historia yako Hezron?
Yeah, story yangu ni ndefu kidogo. Nitasema kidogo.
I was not born disabled, I used to be a farmer in a village outside Iringa. Then one day, I was taking my crops to Dar es Salaam to sell and had a very bad accident. I was taken to the hospital in Iringa where the doctors told me I'd broken my back. They said there was no treatment that could help me. I went home and lay on my back for almost 2 years, unable to support myself and my family until I heard about Neema Crafts in town. I heard they were giving work to disabled people, so I decided to see myself. I was welcomed warmly, and they taught me how to weave. I did not think I'd be able to do it at first, but the teachers were patient and helpful, and I learned everything well. I loved my new job, but the problem was finding where to live in town for me and my family. My wife went to many places that were advertising rooms to rent, and she was always welcomed. But when she arrived with me in a wheelchair, we were told the rooms weren't available anymore. No one wanted to rent to a disabled person because they thought we wouldn't be able to pay any rent. So we decided we would have to build our own house for us and our children. I thank God that we got help from Neema Crafts to get started. With small loans that we've paid off from my wages, we've been able to finish it. Now people in town respect me because of everything I've managed to achieve since being at Neema Crafts.
So here we can see the work that Hezron does from home weaving scarves. It's all 100% organic Tanzanian cotton, which is grown not far from here, and it's dyed in the workshop first. Here we can see a warp which has been dyed by Shakuru, who's one of the in-workers at the weaving department there. And then Hezron will put these warp threads onto the loom, which in itself is an incredibly skilled job, and he then uses this shuttle to send the weft threads left and right through the warp threads, which are actually on the loom, and that's how he makes the scarf. And he'll on average produce between 5 and 8 scarves per week.
Baba, hajambo yule mdogo. Nashukuru sana. Karibu sana mama, karibu sana.
This is Mariam Saidi, and we've come to her house to hear some of her story. Let's go inside.
Nzuri, habari za kwako? Silipokea vizuri kabisa. Nilivuna, mengine niliuza. Nzuri mama, Mwenyezi Mungu tunamshukuru. Mwenyezi Mungu ana nguvu.
Mariam, asante sana kwa kutukaribisha. Thank you for having us in your house. Can you tell us a little bit about what life is like for people with disabilities in Tanzania? Naomba tueleweshe kidogo maisha ya watu wenye ulemavu hapa Tanzania ilikuwaje?
Aha. Sawa, maisha ya watu wenye ulemavu wakipata chanzo wanaweza. Kama mimi hapa nafanya kazi Neema. Kwa hiyo wanatengeneza vitambaa kama vile nyanyua fanya. Na shona vitambaa kama hivi.
Sawa.
Kwa ajili ya mifuko.
Asante sana mama, unashona vizuri sana. So you're making these patchwork pieces which are then taken to Neema Crafts and sewn by the tailors into shopping bags. Na kwa watu wenye ulemavu hapa Tanzania, kama wanashindwa kupata nafasi ya kazi, inakuwaje kwa kawaida kwa wao? Je, maisha ni rahisi au ni ngumu?
Ni magumu sana kwa sababu wanakuwa wanashindwa kujitegemea, watafanyaje na wataanzaje? Kwa kweli ni magumu sana sana. Kwa hiyo wachache tuliobahatika kuingia Neema ndio maisha yanakuwa mepesi.
Na nimeona umejenga nyumba kubwa sana. See, you've built a beautiful house. It's an amazing achievement. Has working at Neema helped with that at all? Je, kufanya kazi pale Neema Craft imekusaidia kidogo kuanzia kujenga nyumba?
Imenisaidia. Imenisaidia kwa kweli. Nashukuru. Neema imenisaidia.
Naomba utueleweshe kama uliniambia kuhusu ukichukua mikopo na kadhalika.
Kwa sababu pale Neema tunafanya kazi na tunapata mshahara. Kwa hiyo huwezi kupata mshahara mkubwa ambao wakuweza kujengea nyumba. Kwa hiyo utaenda kwenye mikopo, nilienda kwenye mikopo nikakopa. Baada ya kukopa kwenye mikopo, ndio nikawa ile Neema nikilipwa kidogo, kwa hiyo narudisha, nyingine nakula. Lakini sana sana ni Neema, kwa sababu nilikuwa sio Neema nisingejenga. Asante sana.
Asante mama.
Asante.
Tunashukuru sana kwa kukaribishwa. Thank you for having us in your home. Neema Crafts is about giving people like Mariam skills and employment opportunities, but it's also about changing negative attitudes towards people with disabilities in their local community. Previously, people like Mariam would not have been welcome into a shop like this. Even the deaf people we work with tell us they used to be shooed out of local shops when they went in, sometimes at the end of a stick or a broom, and I've personally seen this happen. This is not the case today, however. Neema Crafts has become a beacon of light and hope in the Iringa region, demonstrating to all the abilities and employability of people whom they had previously considered worthless and without potential. Mariam now runs her own business selling sweets and drinks alongside the work she does for Neema. By her achievements, Mariam and her colleagues have opened the eyes of their local community to their abilities and over the course of many years have gained their respect. Everyone who needs one is issued with a hand bike, and as they cycle proudly through town to work, local people wave and greet them, no longer scorning and disrespecting them like they used to. Nothing is impossible at Neema Crafts. Everyone is given the opportunity to realise their potential, but it's not just about work. Neema Crafts is a community of friends who support one another through the challenges and trials, the joys and the small daily victories they win day by day against prejudice and social injustice. Above all, Neema is a place of joy, hope and blessing, not just to those we serve, but to the whole community. Above all the workshops is a cafe entirely staffed by deaf people, such as William seen here. The menus are in English, Kiswahili and sign language. Through the cafe, many local people have learnt how to sign, and barriers have been broken down between deaf and hearing people. Traditionally in Tanzania, deafness was thought to be directly related to mental disability. As customers experience the award-winning work of William and his colleagues, however, they've come to realise that this is not the case. The cafe caters for customers of all walks of life, from the farmer coming into town to sell his crops, to the High Court judges from the courthouse across the road, and all of them have had their eyes open to the talent and, most importantly, the employability of deaf people, thanks to their work in the cafe. As well as some of the outworkers like Mariam who do beadwork and sewing at home and then bring what they've made to Neema once a week, we also have people who've used the skills that they've learned at Neema to do their own businesses out in the wider community. So such as Alanis here. Alanis is profoundly deaf and he's a chef in our cafe part of the time, and the rest of the time he runs his own business using the skills that he learnt at Neema to sell food at lunchtime to the students at the Iringa International School. As well as the vocational training and employment we provide at Neema, we also have a disabled football team who practice here at the International School pitch, a sitting volleyball team and a deaf dance group. We also teach life skills such as HIV/AIDS prevention, how to open a bank account and manage their finances and so on, and we also run weekly Bible studies. So here we are in the guest house. This is on the top floor of the Neema Craft Centre. Below us are all the craft workshops, and up here we have 10 ensuite rooms to provide accommodation for visitors and tourists to Tanzania, local people as well. And basically the guest house provides employment and training opportunities for more people with disabilities who will work here in the guest house. And we're just going to go and meet Khadija, who's one of the deaf people who work here. So Khadija is just cleaning this family room, and we find that the guest house is occupied nearly all of the year, at least 90%, and all the people that come here, as well as having a lovely place to stay, are just experiencing for themselves the capabilities and the employability of the deaf people and the other people with physical disabilities who work here. So now we've seen around the whole of Neema Crafts, we've seen all the workshops, the guest house and the cafe. We've met some of the outworkers, and then this is the last area that we're going to show you today. It's the physiotherapy unit for the adults with disabilities who work at Neema Crafts, who all receive free physio here, but also we're treating many children with disabilities from the local area as well. This is Rama. She's one of the 200 to 300 children who receive free physio here. The unit also provides wheelchairs and other disability aids to help the children gain as much mobility as possible, and runs a feeding programme for those who are dangerously malnourished. We also send children to hospital 10 hours away in Dar es Salaam, paying for their transport, operation fees and accommodation, and then providing all their aftercare. This would be impossible for their own families to afford without support. Most importantly, we encourage parents not to hide or abandon their disabled children. Through the example of the many differently able adults, such as Mode seen here, who produce beautiful work at the centre with dignity and pride, we endeavour to give parents a vision of hope for the future rather than despair, helping them to see their children for their potential abilities rather than their disabilities. Mode is profoundly deaf and is the operations manager here at Neema Crafts. Here we see him with Katie Ray, Ben's wife and the co-director. Mode and Katie are packing up an order to go to the UK. This particular one is going to Craft Aid International in Harrogate. Having handed over Neema Crafts to the capable running of Ben and Katie in 2012, along with the Tanzanian staff team that I trained before I left, I set up Craft Aid International on my return to the UK. The charity has three main aims. Firstly, to support Neema Crafts through fundraising and marketing of the crafts they make. Secondly, to run weekly craft sessions for people with disabilities in the UK. And thirdly, in the future, to help local churches overseas to start social enterprises like Neema to provide handicrafts training and employment for differently able people living in poverty elsewhere in the developing world. Mode loads the box, which is on its way to Craft Aid International, into the picky driven by Petro, who is also a bead maker at Neema Crafts. Inside are scarves woven by Hezron, bags sewn by Mariam, owls made by Lucello and James, and many more beautiful items, soon to be crossing the skies to the UK, where they are eagerly awaited by the differently able adults who come to the craft sessions run by Craft Aid International. The box has come from Tanzania, everyone. Yay! Woohoo! Fantastic. So let's see what's inside. The sessions provide a chance to get out of the house and meet new people, learn new skills and have some therapeutic creative enjoyment. But it's not just another form of daycare. These sessions give the participants a chance to be part of a bigger picture and use the skills they learn to serve others. They make a variety of high-quality, beautiful crafts, help stuff and finish off Bundi the owl and his friends, and then help sell the crafts they make, alongside those from Tanzania, at craft fairs and events. Income raised by selling the crafts from Tanzania goes straight back to the people who make them, whilst the crafts made here in the UK help raise funds for Neema's physiotherapy work with disabled children. The people who come look forward to the sessions all week and feel proud of the work they are doing to help disabled children in a country much worse off than our own. It's liberating and empowering to be able to help others, rather than to be on the receiving end of services all the time, building confidence and a sense of purpose in people who, even here in the UK, are often made to feel as though they have nothing to give. Through the beautiful work that they produce and the funds that they are raising, they are saying loud and clear that this is not the case. To find out more about the work of Craft Aid International and discover how you can support the work that we do, please go to www.craftaidinternational.org. You can also find out about Neema Crafts at www.neemacrafts.com. We'll leave the final word to Ben and Katie.
So, just like Bundi, you too can be part of our story, either by buying our products or marketing our goods to your friends and family, or by donating towards our future plans.
From everyone here at Craft Aid International and at Neema, thank you for watching.
Anatupigania
watu wote